Hey, this is Chris with Rekkid Talk, and so this will be the second and probably final vinyl tag I'll do this year. So this is going to be the punk slash garage rock vinyl tag, and so what I'm doing it's going to be mostly Tommy's vinyl nod. He does the punk tag. I'm going to do most of his questions. There are a few of his questions I can or don't want to do, and I'm going to substitute some of the questions by George at Blockhead, who did a shorter garage rock based vinyl tag. So let's get into Tommy's prompts. So prompt number one was the DIY make your own question here. So the question I have come up with is show a record from 1975, that is 50 years ago, and explain why it is proto punk. And so my choice is Loretta Lynn, The Pill, on MCA Records. And you might be saying, well, how can a mainstream country song be proto punk? Well, it was written and recorded in 1972. It was not released until 1975. It was controversial. It was banned by many country and western stations. It only reached number 5 on the U.S. country chart at a time when Loretta Lynn would generally be number 1 or number 2 anytime she released a song. It did make it to number 70 on the overall chart. She wasn't listed as a writer, although my understanding was that she actually was a co-writer. And of course, it's about women being able to use contraception, which is probably the next target by certain forces, and how it helps their lives. And so I think of it as a proto-riot girl feminist anthem. Loretta Lynn, she's as punk as Kathleen Hanna. Show your punk vinyl find of 2024. I'm going to focus on the word find, so it's not going to be something I bought online or at a regular record store or something I got as a gift. But this is something I dug out of one of those antique malls. And so this is, I haven't shown this before, the Malignmen, called CI8. So it was on Plague Records out of Knoxville, Tennessee in 1996. And it came on red vinyl. And so they were around in sort of the mid to late 1990s. And I find them to be very much they sound like the Misfits, particular Graves era Misfits is what I found them to sound like. So, show a record from a new band that took you by storm. And so we've got Mika and Marquis, and of course Ryan Kidd. And yeah, I know they had an EP that came out a year or two before, but their 2024 album, Dead in Memphis. So it's got great songs like I Live at Night, Beat Up the World, and I Want to Kill Somebody, covering the Alan Millman sect. And it may be using up songs that I could use for a later prompt. Show a record from a local punk band. And so I'm going to show Fading Out, self-titled record. So this was a punk band from Louisville, Kentucky. This was recorded in 1985, but it wasn't released until like 1995 or 1996. Did eventually get released on Palace Records. It was something I got as a VCLT gift from good old Joe Kim. And kind of the frontman of the band was Brad Eugene Ralph, who has not one, not two, but 3 uncool names. Show your favorite punk, foreign punk record of 2024. And so I'm going to show the Satanic Togas from Sydney, Australia. Released this particular this particular, I guess, EP. It's 5 songs. Released by Sweet Time Records out of Nashville. My copy's on orange vinyl. I think there are a few different variants. And so it was released in late 2023, but I didn't get it until 2024. And so I'm going to go ahead and count it. Show a signed punk record Okay, so this is going to be, I'm going to not use Tommy's question, I'm going to use George's question. And so I'm going to use George's question, show a garage comp. And so I'm going to show, we've got 16 pounding, pulverizing, all out garage punk dance ravers from 1964 to 1967, Jump, Jive, and Harmonize, Teenage Sensation. And so it's a collection of a bunch of garage singles. The one that I'm the most fond of on the record, on Big Beat Records, I Want to Be Your Love. I could use that for another question as well, by a band called the Cobras out of the state of Maine. And it's like one of those unobtainium, super expensive records that I'm never going to find it, so I can get it on a comp. Number 7, show an underrated second album by punk band. So in lieu of finding something in my collection, I instead relied upon ChatGPT, and I will read the answer in my best AI voice. One underrated second album by a punk band is Give 'Em Enough Rope by The Clash, 1978. While London Calling often steals the spotlight as their breakthrough album, Give 'Em Enough Rope is a strong and pivotal record that shows the Clash transitioning from their raw punk roots to a more refined and expansive sound. The album features a mix of punk energy, rock influences, and even touches of reggae, offering a glimpse of what could come with their later work. Despite not being as widely celebrated as their other albums, it has a lot of depth and is a crucial part of their evolution. Hopefully that was a generic enough answer that sounds like AI. Number 8, show a punk cassette tape you bought in 2024. Well, fortunately, I actually did buy one, so this is another Sweet Time offering. Wesley and the Boys with Internet Punk. And so there you go. And it's the second side was intentionally left blank, so I guess I could record more songs on there if I wanted to. Number 9, which new punk record are you most excited to get your hands on in 2025? Well, something that I just learned about, in fact, I just ordered it earlier today, is the new EP by the Alan Millman Sect, mentioned earlier. And so it's been something that's been rumored to happen for years. I know George did an interview with Alan, and Ryan covered a song. And so I've ordered it, but I don't have it yet to actually show you the physical copy of. Number 10, show your most played and least played punk record of 2024. Well, my most played is No Means No Wrong, reissued Alternative Tentacles. It was something that I had a mixtape that had a bunch of No Means No songs on it that I used to listen to constantly. It was a bunch of songs from that record and some songs from other records as well. So I never actually had the proper album, but now I have the proper album. And the punk record I listened to the least, well, there's a lot tied with 0 listens in 2024. The one that I've chosen to show is The Flowers of Romance by Public Image Limited. So, of course, that was John Lydon after the Sex Pistols. Number 11, show a punk record that mixes 2 genres. Well, I'm going to be an overachiever here. I'm going to show something that mixes 5 genres. And so this compact disc, this is the Quirky SST group, Trotsky Ice Pick, with one of their, I think this might have been their final album. They reunited a few years ago and came up with a new thing that I haven't heard, but 1993 Carpet Bomb, the riff. So, I mean, SST in the late 80s, early 90s got really weird. And so only Chris Brophy and me listened to this group, I think, in the VC. So according to Discogs, because I rely upon Discogs for all genre-related arguments, this is alternative rock, art rock, power pop, pop rock, and post punk. And based on listening to it, I would go with artsy post punk. Is probably the best description of it. Show a drunk punk or straight edge record. Well, of course, the most obvious thing to show would be Minor Threat, but we'll go a little bit less obvious. And so we've got this College Music Journal comp from October 1995, track number 12, Here We Go by Shelter. So Shelter was a Krishna core group, headed by a guy named Ray Cappo, who had been part of the early straight edge scene, and then he became interested in Hinduism and Hare Krishna, and had his band called Shelter. And that's the only thing I have of Shelter is their track on that comp. Show your puke punk record. Well, we've got, so this is from 2014, a group called Fuck Nights, with a song called A Taste of Puke. And so you can see we've got some very tasteful stuff going on there. They're described on Discogs as being a Minneapolis garage fuzz psych punk band. The Fuck Nights, A Taste of Puke. Show a record from a band that made only one perfect record. So I didn't know if this means they only made one perfect record and a bunch of shitty records, or if you were talking about somebody who's like a one and done. So I'm going to kind of go the one and done route. How about some new wave power pop from 1981 by a group called Xerox on Red Hot Vinyl Richie Records. So the song's called The Teachers of Punk. It's a promo single from their only album. They were from Houston, Texas. They're one of the guys in the band, Guy Schwartz, had been in some unknown like heavy rock and prog bands in the 1970s, and then went the new wave route. I'm dedicating this to all the aging educator punks that might be out there. Show a record with a song against Putin or the war in Ukraine. So we're going to go with Gogol Bordello, Solidarity from 2022. I've got the version on the blue and yellow splattered vinyl. And of course, there are a lot of politically charged songs. Eugene Hoots is part Ukrainian. And I'm going to link at the very end of the video a song that's not on this album but was recorded around the same time called Terra Barona, about sort of the women fighting in the civil service in Ukraine. Number 16, show a record, show your ring music that makes you ready to fight. So I'm going to use the you can show one rockabilly record per punk tag clause. And I'm going to show, again, this was a find maybe a year or two ago, $1 record that's worth a lot more than $1. This is a 1959 rockabilly record on this Minor Champion label by Chuck Herod and the Anteaters. And isn't that just a great 50s rock and roll name? A song called They Want to Fight, which is definitely the better song. There's kind of a sappy ballad on the other side of this, but this is a pretty cool record. 1959, these guys were definitely the punks of that era. Number 17, show your mating punk song. So we're going to dig into X, Ain't Love Grand, from 1980, I want to say 1985. I can't read what year it is. Sometime in the mid-1980s. This is generally not considered to be one of their best albums, although Burning House of Love, I think, definitely got some, like, MTV airplay. So you got Ain't Love Grand, Burning House of Love. But the song I'm kind of thinking about is a song called Love Shack. And no, it's not the other Love Shack song that you know. It's not a B-52 song. It's not sung by Kate and Cindy and Fred. It's sung by Exene. And I think it actually came a few years before B-52's Love Shack. And so Exene says things like, "Here's to you, your voice on the jukebox. Here's to you, I'm dancing at the Love Shack." So we dance at the Love Shack. When we're shaking it down at the Love Shack, that sounds like a B-52's lyric, but it's a completely different song. Number 18, show a punk merch that is over the top and must have. And so I'm going to choose to skip that question and go again to one of George's Garage Rock. Show a Garage Rock 45. So again, this was one of my finds this year. Something that I got from a big box. It's even in original sound. So it's the Music Machine with one of their sort of non-hits. The A-side was The Eagle Never Hunts the Fly. And this original sound label sold a lot of oldies comps that they're actually advertising on this original company sleeve that I had to go along with it. Number 19, share a non-punk record that your punk friends will give you shit for loving. And so I'm going to show Juliana Hatfield sings Olivia Newton-John. Since I'm required by my contract with American Laundromat Records, it's on nice orange vinyl, I'm required by my contract with American Laundromat Records to plug Juliana in every tag video. And of course, Jules was listening to Olivia Newton-John when Tommy and I were listening to the Sex Pistols, the Ramones, the Damned, the Village People. Okay? And then finally, number 20, show the punk rock record cover predicting a 2025 event. Well, I could have gone and pulled out some Power Violence 7-inch that has a war atrocity on the cover, but I wanted to be a little bit more positive than that. So we went with Televi Cadet. And so I'm predicting that Tommy is going to complete his Televi Cadet collection in 2025. But of course, since he's not going to talk about Televi Cadet this year, he won't actually reveal that he did so until January 1st, 2026. So there's your punk / garage rock / Juliana Hatfield tag.